29th, 2025, and we are beginning our coverage of this major winter storm impacting central Iowa. And got probably the heaviest band of this system just now south of the Des Moines area, which is where we are at currently. Just switched around here. We'll be covering areas in central Iowa. We'll start out here in Des Moines and work our way out. We'll probably go south towards Norwalk, where that heaviest band is currently. If you happen to be watching this video after the fact, do consider subscribing. That way you are notified the next time we have a video on this channel. Your support's always appreciated. Looks like University Avenue here has been plowed, but we will head over to the interstate. Got the snow tires put on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so hopefully we'll have yet a third good season out of those. I would estimate here in Des Moines we've received 4 inches. I did a little shoveling just before taking off here. Try to stay ahead of this forecasted 8 to 13, although here in Des Moines I think it's going to be on the lower side. 8 or 9 inches would be my guess when it's all said and done. See a grader up ahead there. Usually don't see those in town very often. The biggest concern I have with this system is Iowa hasn't experienced any slippery roads really. Maybe a little bit in northern Iowa, but yeah, we're getting hit hard right off the bat here. So we'll be getting on I-235 here. I don't like to spend a lot of time on the interstates covering winter weather. It just seems like a recipe for pile-ups and getting stuck for a long period of time without a lot of options. So we'll be heading eastbound towards the capital here. downtown. As always, I like to see in the comments where you're viewing from, whether it be in Iowa or outside the country. I tend to get a lot of viewers from England and Germany, Brazil. It's not necessarily easy going here. This is very wet, heavy snow. Part of the reason I wanted to shovel before I left is I didn't want that compacted slush to freeze and harden as I drove out and was walking around. So it's just warm enough, and the system's bringing up a whole lot of moisture. That's why we're expecting such heavy snowfall totals. If it were colder and drier, obviously we'd be forecasted for a lot less snow. Surprisingly, the plows haven't been through here very recently, being the main artery through Des Moines. I would guess they are not too far behind. Days like today, I guess you just kind of make your own lane. Time is 11:23, 29 degrees according to the truck. We are riding in an F-150. As I mentioned earlier, we're equipped with some snow tires to make things a little safer. Well, part of the reason I come out and do this is for those of you that one, either never experience this because you live in warmer climates, or two, you just, for either safety reasons or health reasons or whatever reason, you have to work, just otherwise can't make it out. That's part of the reason I do this. New to the channel, we primarily post here severe weather during the warm season, specifically tornadoes. So if you're into that sort of thing, when you're done here, consider checking those out. And already the rear window is plastered with slushy snow. So we'll hope we don't have to go in reverse anytime soon. Yeah, most definitely. I can't stress enough, if you are going to be out, just give yourself a lot of time and a lot of distance. Slow down. You can generally make it through. We're not expecting a ton of wind with this. I think our average wind speeds will be around 15 miles per hour. Like I mentioned before, this is first time of the season we're experiencing any slick road, so I suspect, hopefully I'm wrong, a fair number of accidents. But maybe it's extreme enough, people are giving it a little more care, as opposed to, you know, your 1 to 3 inch snowfalls that maybe get a little ignored. Yeah, this will be moving to the east and south, northern, maybe central Illinois. We'll be getting it. Indiana's in line probably. As the system moves on, I'd suspect even the northeast and parts of Appalachia. Very hard, rough, slushy, wet snow on the road. Slowed down to 30 miles per hour here. So we leave the downtown area, capital of Iowa here, Des Moines. Heaviest modeled snow is going to be roughly from Fort Dodge down through Cedar Rapids and the Quad Cities. But on radar currently, the heaviest band is basically from Creston, arcing up towards Newton and Iowa City, so just to our southeast. Yeah, I definitely want to avoid I-80 out in the country between here and Iowa City. It's always a show, we'll say that. And then between Des Moines and Ames also has a bad history, so we'll be getting off the interstate here sooner than later. I don't know if you folks can hear the roughness of the snow on the tires and the wheel wells. This is prime ice chunk making weather. Nice thing is this is Saturday, so folks don't have, we don't have as many folks working. Obviously, many still have to go in. That is making roads a little quieter today, at least. Sorry, kids, you missed out on a snow day. Still cruising about just over 30 miles per hour here on where people are normally going 65. Just joining, we are on the east side of Des Moines on 235 going north. We'll take this exit. You're on Euclid Avenue. Most of my winter streams have all been to the north and west, but try out some new territory today, go where the heavier band is. I apologize if your questions or comments go unanswered. I'm obviously keeping my eyes on the road as best I can here. I've seen a lot of other live streaming storm chasers who are out in eastern Iowa, generally in the I-380 corridor, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids area. This heavy band will eventually head that direction. In our 10-15 minutes or so yet, I've not seen any signs of any accidents, so that is good news. And contrary to what you might think, those big mud tires are actually not very good on snow and ice. They have less contact with the road and can sometimes get gunked up with the wintry debris and actually end up being pretty slippery. So Turning isn't too bad as long as you take your time. I would recommend four-wheel drive if you have the option, though, especially getting going from stoplights and stop signs. You can see that white truck up there having a little trouble. He's trying. Yeah, he's just rear wheel drive, unfortunately. So doing what he can here. Got a slight incline, not helping matters. Hopefully gets through the green light before it gets red. I did not. I think once he gets up the hill there, he'll be in better shape. Hopefully he doesn't have to go up anything steeper, though. It'll be a tough venture. Car having a hard time front wheel drive. With the snowfall rates that they are, it's hard for the crews to stay on top of things, and here in Des Moines, I'm sure anywhere that gets frequent snow, they prioritize the main roads, and side roads are usually, like ours where we live, isn't touched until the next morning. So definitely been in a situation where we have had a front wheel drive sedan, and making it up those little inclines takes a lot of work. Fortunately, I never got stuck. I just made sure to have enough ramming speed, enough momentum. My wife's RAV4, on the other hand, did get stuck once, and took a lot of pushing and shoveling to get it to go just the little 5 feet that it needed to get up the crest of a little incline. But snow's quite a bit thicker on the road here now. Not just deep, but thick, very wet stuff. If you're just seeing, we are on Hubble Avenue, or Highway 6 going east, on the east side of Des Moines. heading towards Altoona here very shortly. If you have the opportunity to pull up radar scope or another radar, you'll see the heaviest band right now is just to our southeast, basically from Onset to Grinnell. This may not be recommended advice, but the way I replace my wiper blades is generally about April 1st, right before prime storm chasing season. So that means in the winter they're a little less effective, and I apologize if they're a little more noisy. I think my opinion's always been that with the ice on the windshield and everything, I'd rather have those wipers get at the beginning. So, but if winter driving safety is your priority, then it might be best to get those switched out now if you haven't already. And this is not a sponsorship or endorsement or anything like that, but I do like the Bosch Icon wipers. Way back in the day when Storm Chasers was on TV, or maybe it was just right after they were a sponsor of Reed Timmer and the Dominator, Team Dominator. I don't know if you can make it out, but you have Adventureland off to your right there. Obviously closed for the season. Roads are certainly 100% covered, even being somewhat taken care of by the cities. We'll venture up here to Bondurant and maybe out into the country a little bit and see what it looks like. Yes, we are in the Des Moines area, just technically to the northeast of Des Moines, heading that direction. To the northeast, I should clarify. It's a 11:45 Central Standard Time, 29 degrees still here according to the F-150's thermometer. We shouldn't get any warmer than, oh buddy, probably not a good place to stop if you have the option to stop there. That bridge up ahead is Interstate 80. Woke up, left the house with probably 4 inches, maybe a little more snow. A lot of that had fallen this morning, overnight, probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Here in Des Moines, we're forecasted 8 to 13, and the way things are going, I'm going to say we're on the lower side of that. If this heavy band to our south had been just a few miles further north, we would have really collected a lot here recently. Oh, I guess I'm not in the lane. The interstate I was on, 235, which should get really the most attention, being the heart through Des Moines, I would say it was actually worse, surprisingly. It was very chunky, hard slush. The interstate was going generally between 30 and 40 miles per hour, which is good for these conditions. So, but yeah, I was expecting it to be, being able to see more pavement and whatnot, and really was not the case. And it looks like right here, going into Bondurant, a plow's been by very recently, at least in the right lane here. We're on one of the few diagonal highways in the state. We're aiming northeast. I think it's warm enough for our salt treatments to be effective right now. It's in the upper 20s. I think when you get in the mid to lower 20s is when they become a lot less effective, and definitely in the teens. Come to think of it, I wasn't really out much yesterday on Friday, but I don't recall seeing any like wet or salty lines on the road as though it had been pre-treated. Usually that's something that really stands out to me. So I don't know if they did all that late yesterday. I didn't really venture out, but usually they like to do that a few days in advance. It could have been the Thanksgiving holiday interfered with that, I don't know. The Amazon distribution centers off to the right there. And Bondurant, we're basically driving through the heart. Basically, just to our left. We're on Highway 330 that will go towards Marshalltown. happy to see most drivers taking it easy today, so that's a good sign. See that semi spinning the back wheels a bit. Doesn't have the usual weight of the trailer to help with that. This guy. I think he's just off your frame, but there's another tractor to the right here that looks like he was stuck, leaving the Amazon distribution center. Currently peg visibility at about half mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile, so not too bad. Not a lot of wind to speak of at the moment, so at least seems blowing and drifting won't be too much of an issue, if at all. I think my plan is we will go northeast a little bit and then on Highway 30 turn east, and we should intercept the heaviest snow in the state at the moment. Appreciate all of you hanging out, checking out Iowa's bunch of varied weather. I always argue it's the most extreme weather in the world. Definitely the most diverse weather. Between blizzards and tornadoes and land hurricanes and droughts, floods, extreme cold, some of the most oppressive heat. It keeps things interesting. This coming spring will be my 25th year storm chasing. Took up the interest a lot earlier, just didn't have access to four wheels. about 2021, so, or 2001 rather. Through the marvels of technology, you get to see safely home what we're seeing live right now. I'm going to go back on my plan a little bit. I think if I go northeast, I'm going to overshoot this a little bit. So, doesn't look like anyone's coming here. See now, southbound, not plowed as recent, so we're pretty much down to one lane here. Hey, don't forget to shout out where you're viewing from. I always like to see that. I know other viewers like to see that as well. If you're in Iowa, I'd be curious how much snow you've gotten so far. Or Nebraska, I guess. This is maybe a little bit old news for you guys now, but just tuning in, we'll be heading back towards Monterey and Altoona, and generally don't like to, but we'll hop on Interstate 80 eastbound for a little bit. Hopefully be a good year for our independent snow removal companies. I generally haven't seen a whole lot of business, especially last year. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving holiday. We made the venture to the in-laws, about 2 hours to the northwest. Clear sailing the whole way. Hopefully if you traveled, you're not coming back in this, especially say if you're coming back from Illinois or Chicago. Definitely not a good situation to be in. I-80 here, I have to imagine it's going to be a mess, if not right now, very soon. And I think Interstate 35 south of Des Moines is probably a big mess at the moment. Band is training over Indianola and Norwalk in there. Easily, I would say, rates of 1 inch per hour or more. And if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate a subscription. Part of my objective with today was to get closer to 5,000 subscribers. We were roughly 500 away from that. So, more of a vanity metric than anything worthwhile, but that was one of my goals for 2025, was to hit 5,000 subscribers and 1 million total views, which we did accomplish that at the beginning of November. So I appreciate everyone who's tuned in and watched and supported the channel. And don't feel obligated, but if you appreciate this, maybe consider super thanks, or in the chat I put my Venmo information. So a little bit of gas money never hurts. The latest GFS model I looked at with the Kuchera snowfall ratio, which keeps in account temperature and moisture, humidity, basically it was pinning the heaviest amount right on Des Moines. But official National Weather Service forecasts were putting the heaviest amounts from basically Fort Dodge down through Cedar Rapids and the Quad Cities, but a lot of eastern Iowa, east central Iowa, I suppose you'd say, getting the heaviest between Interstate 80 and Highway 20. Actual reports that I looked at this morning, the heaviest had fallen from Fort Dodge to Waterloo with around 8 inches. Someone had said they had almost gotten 10 inches in Cedar Rapids a couple hours ago, so that's increased. So I think the 14 to 17 inch totals for the I-380 corridor is probably on track. So, especially as this heavier band makes their way that direction. All right, I do this with some hesitation, but Sorry, trying to get these chunks and streaks off the windshield. Got the Altoona Fire Department ambulance in front of us here. At least when I left, I didn't see any other Iowa chasers doing live streams at the moment, so this is the only local storm chase live stream. Everyone else is from out of state. So, hey, gas is $0. Probably stop in there. Turn in here. Yeah, it's a little tricky if your vehicle isn't as equipped. I'm a little hungry, but I'll spare you guys. I'm not going to get Culver's just yet. If you do have to venture out, make sure you're prepared and have your winter emergency kit ready and updated and double checked for the season. Make sure you have food and water with you in case you do get stuck. There undoubtedly is a tow ban in effect, so if you get stuck, you're probably not getting out for a while. Really ought to get some of that free gas. Not sure what he's up to. Be a prime spot to get stuck on. A little incline. All right, we'll get a look at I-80 here for a little bit. Eastbound towards Iowa City. Oh, semi lost it. He's upright at least. Looks like no other vehicles were involved, so that's good news. winter weather severity index put central Iowa and eastern Iowa under the major category. So it really recommends that travel's not ventured. These conditions will be extremely difficult, if not impossible. On-ramp's a bit messy here from the plows, so that means we'll at least have clear roads for a little bit. These plows have just gone through. We are right on the edge of the heaviest band right now. Looks like that semi maybe came to an unplanned stop. I bet we're going to lose our clear road. I see the snow plows up on the exit ramp there, so they're probably going to turn around and go back west. In case you're just joining us, we are eastbound on Interstate 80 out of the Des Moines Metro, just passing Altoona. We are under a winter storm warning. This is going to be a long-lasting event, expected to basically go 24 hours. So we are right in the middle of it here at just after noon on the 29th of November 2025. It is 29 degrees still. We're expecting anywhere from 8 to 17 inches of snow across basically the middle half of the state. Lesser amounts closer to the Minnesota border and farther south towards Missouri. Southwest Iowa may be getting more rain or ice in addition to the snow. But where we are is all snow, but I should mention that it is a very heavy, slushy, wet snow and not ideal for shoveling. And if you wait till the end to snow blow, it's probably just going to flop out some chunks of snow. It's not going to blow it very far. So if you have to shovel, I'd suggest doing it in intervals and stay ahead of it. The roads are a slushy, rough, snow covered, 100% covered across the entire central part of the state now. Snowfall rates will be in this heavier band that we're approaching, likely more than an inch per hour. Snowflakes are very fine. But you can see visibility is right now no more than half a mile. We're going about 45 here on the interstate, which is good. I think that is an appropriate speed for these conditions. With that said, I'd advise you to stay home if at all possible. Definitely would not advise making any long trips across I-80 and I-35. In town is manageable depending on your vehicle and the streets you have to be on. I saw some rear wheel vehicles having difficulty earlier. Well, front wheel, for that matter. All-wheel drive, four-wheel drive is obviously going to make things easier for you, especially on those side streets. All right, according to my radar, we are right on the edge of this heavy band. So we'll be getting into it here. Well, you can probably see on your screen, right up ahead here, visibility is getting shorter and shorter. If you appreciate this coverage, do consider liking the video. It helps the algorithm and gets more eyeballs on the channel, gets more information out to you. And certainly appreciate any subscribers. The channel is primarily focused on severe weather, the most extreme types of severe weather, including tornadoes. I do not live stream during those events. I do more after the fact, post-production, but I think makes for an overall better experience, and I always think I'm a bit more appreciative of your time going that way as opposed to the live streams. Winter weather is a little different though. It's a little more pertinent. It affects more people. And I think just doesn't age quite as well. So live is the preferred format for blizzards and major snowstorms, which this is definitely an anomaly. I know we're right at the end of November, but the average snowfall for Des Moines in November is 2.7 inches, and we're gonna certainly exceed that with this system we already have. And even December is only about 8 inches, 7.9 to be exact, so we should match that as well. We are in the heaviest band of the snow right now in the state of Iowa. And flakes are still pretty small. Almost sounds sort of rain, sleet-like. It's not, but it sounds that way on the windshield. It's not the big heavy flakes, but it is dense. And visibility is down to, I would say, a third of a mile. Snowfall rate here will be 1 inch or more per hour. We're fortunate that a plow's been through here recently, so at least in the right lane. A lot of chasers from out of state are covering further to the east, where the snow is obviously headed. So they'll be getting this here within the hour. Being local and living here, decided to stick around central Iowa in Des Moines. Where models, anyway, or at least the GFS is putting the highest amount on Des Moines. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think he'll be areas from like Marshalltown to Cedar Rapids and then arcing back to the southeast towards the Quad Cities, but looks like we've had a little intensification further west of Des Moines. The Greenfield area. So Des Moines, you'll be in store for yet a bit more heavy snow. Another band that will probably come through. But it looks like it's starting to clear out near Atlantic already. The back is low pressure winding down. Winter Storm Alston, A-L-S-T-O-N is what they're calling it. I think it's kind of silly, the name winter storms, but I suppose it helps with the marketing for the news stations. At any rate, if you have questions, throw them out there. If you'd like to comment how much snow you've received, no matter where you are, be sure to include your location, and even if it's not snowing where you are, shout out where you're viewing from today. This stretch of Colfax to Iowa City has historically not been a good one, so I've probably stayed on longer than I should have already. So I'll be getting off I believe at Colfax. Which, if you're from the area, I'd encourage you to check out Papa Giorgio's Pizza. It's one of my favorites in the area.